Power remembered. Author's note. These are a bunch of 4th job advancement quests for most Maple World classes grouped together with a couple of mount quests that happen around the same level, as well as a few demon and luminous quests that I couldn't place anywhere else. It's not to say that all of these classes reach 4th job at the same time, but since there's no definitive time frame of when they take place, I thought that it would be better to just group them into their own section for the sake of readability. I'll do something similar for the grandest classes in a later section as well, as those quests are set after the Black Mage's unsealing. Aran. As Aran continued her training, Lilin reached out and asked her to return to Rien, as Maha was behaving strangely. Aran rushed back to Rien and found that Maha was emanating dark energy. He explained that he had been frozen over the centuries, just as she had been, and that the absence from his master had been too much from him, which had caused seeds of darkness to be planted in his heart. Though he had initially believed that the darkness would have gone away after Iran returned, Maha realized that its hold was too strong on him. He begged Iran to defeat him and return him back to normal before he went berserk. Iran then fought Maha and managed to subdue him. Maha thanked her for her help and explained that since she had proven herself to be strong enough to contain him, it was an indication that he could safely restore her full power. He then bestowed all her old skills and explained that she would return to full power once she fully mastered them. Soon after, Pucci reached out to her and asked if her werewolf, which Iran had renamed Raiko, had been acting rebellious lately. He explained that wolves went through a type of puberty during their adolescent years, and that the ones who didn't go through puberty failed to grow properly. In order to get advice about how to help Reiko through his adolescence, Aron first visited Nanake at Snowy Whale Island, who offered to make a special formula for adolescent wolves. After bringing her lime powder bottles, ink bottles, butter toasted squids, and special puberty wolf vitamins from Kenta, Nenuke prepared the formula for Aran, which she then fed to Reiko. Aran then went to see Skadur, who told her that she needed to let Reiko run wild in order to get the rebelliousness out of his system. After bonding with Reiko by riding with him through the cold fields of Elnath, Reiko soon grew to become an adolescent wolf. After a long time, Pucci told Aran that a pack of wolves had shown up in Rien. Having followed the rumors that she had picked up a lost wolf pup, Aran went to see the head wolf, who thanked her for taking care of Reiko, but asked that she return him back. Aran told him that Reiko was her friend, and so she couldn't give him up. In order to determine whether Aran was worthy of keeping Reiko, the head wolf administered a test to have Aran fight his wolf underlings. After she defeated them all, the head wolf was impressed by her power and allowed her to keep Reiko. However, he told her that they were silver wolves who possessed silver blood. He explained that before becoming adults, silver wolves strengthened their hearts by drinking life water for wolves, which was only found in their homeland. He warned that foregoing the ritual would result in serious consequences, and so Aran traveled to Leafry, the homeland of the silver wolves, and collected the life water for wolves from the Skelegons, which Reiko then drank in order to evolve into an adult. Evan. While Evan and Myrrh continued their training, Myrrh unexpectedly began shedding again, after which he grew much larger and more powerful, appearing much more like Afrian, with dark scales and 4 golden horns. Myrrh told Evan that his strength grew with the strength of his master, meaning that Evan had grown stronger as well. Mercedes. Mercedes' vigorous training soon paid off, as the Great Spirit restored all of her power and explained that she would need to continue training in order to fully master the power of the Elven ruler, as she had once done centuries ago. Luminous. Luminous continued to strengthen his connection between light and darkness, and succeeded in blending them together on a new form, allowing him to use even stronger skills. Soon after, Agent N reached out to Luminous and told him that he might be interested to know that the Silent Crusade had recently discovered the Lion King's castle in Elnath. Luminous was surprised that Von Leon was still alive, as he had assumed that the Lion King had fallen bravely in battle. Author's note: it's interesting that Luminous seems to respect Von Leon, even in spite of him being a commander. He went to speak with Viren, who told Luminous to verify whether Von Leon was still an active commander. After thoroughly investigating the castle, he concluded that Von Leon was not a servant of the Black Mage anymore, but rather, he was just a man whose heart and soul had been torn out. Author's note: this questline is basically the instigator to the Lion King's castle storyline for Luminous, but since this questline has already been previously covered, I'm assuming that Luminous doesn't complete it, although it's weird that Von Leon is said not to be an active commander anymore, when he clearly hosts commander meetings at his castle. Later on in this section, he even yells at the demon for betraying the Black Mage. I wonder if he's just become a meeting host instead of an active commander, which might be why Luminous says that he doesn't serve the Black Mage anymore. It's also possible that this is just a continuity error, as Von Leon is one of the commanders whom Zero encounters at the end of their storyline. I honestly wish that we got a stronger version of Von Leon to fight instead of Guard Captain Darknell, as it would have been better to wrap up the story of an existing character instead of making up a new, last-minute character. For reference, Darknell and the elite bosses had no lore about them until the Sharenian Knights chapter in the Grand Athenaeum, which was released 2 years later in the Awake update. Sometime later, Byron told Luminous that he had encountered an interesting phrase in one of the books in the Auroran library. The ultimate light is the slumbering gold. Byron believed that the riddle referred to the grand augury of legend, and suspected that it was hidden in the Golden Temple. Author's note: as far as I know, this is the first reference to the ultimate light in the game, as the Grand Athenaeum, which shows the White Mage's origins, comes out much later after Luminous did. It's interesting that it refers to the Grand Augury, also known as the Grand Crystal, which doesn't really seem to have any significance to the actual ultimate light that the Black Mage sought. I'm a bit disappointed that the auguries had no significance to the overall story, aside from helping Luminous stabilize his darkness. Luminous obtained the Grand Augury from Ravana inside the Golden Temple, and from the crystal came the voice of the Second Light Master, who recognized Luminous and called him the Star Child. When Luminous asked what the term meant, the Second Light Master explained the story behind the birth of the Black Mage and how Luminous had been born from the light cast out by the Black Mage, which had shot up into the heavens and landed back down, which was why the mages of Aurora had called Luminous the Star Child. Luminous realized that Gwaru was correct in believing that he and the Black Mage were related, quickly becoming dejected by the revelation. However, the Master told him that Luminous was everything good about the Black Mage in physical form, meaning that they were nothing alike. However, he also explained an uncomfortable truth and asked for Luminous's forgiveness in advance. He told Luminous that his close friend, Lucia, had been raised as the false Star Child, so that the Black Mage would kill her in Luminous's place. Luminous was shocked by the news, but the Master promised that he had ensured that Lucia had been able to reincarnate and live a new, safer life. With that, he disappeared and left Luminous with his conflicted feelings. Luminous went to see Viren and told him that he blamed himself for the deaths of Lucia and the mages of Aurora. However, Viren told him that it was no one but the Black Mage's fault, causing Luminous to snap at him that he was the discarded remnant of the Black Mage, making them one and the same. As Lania consoled him, she was intrigued to hear the name Lucia, as it seemed very familiar to her. Even after Luminous left, she continued pondering over the name and why it seemed so familiar. Author's note: in case you couldn't tell, Lania is the reincarnation of Lucia. Resistance. In Edelstein, Headmaster Ferdy summoned the Resistance member back to the secret plaza for an emergency meeting. There, Claudine informed them that their instructor had gone missing while completing a mission. explaining that they had gone to investigate rumors of a new weapon that Glimmer was creating for the Black Wings. Claudine asked them to rescue their investigator and gave them a return scroll to the secret plaza so that they could quickly escape. The Resistance member disguised themselves as a Blackwing member in order to gain access to the Vern mines and made their way to Glimmer's laboratory. There, they told Glimmer that they were a new member who was patrolling the area. Glimmer told them that an intruder had snuck into his laboratory recently, and so he needed more guards. The Resistance member then offered to patrol the area for him. Glimmer suspected that they wanted to steal his secrets, but they managed to convince him by explaining that they wanted to prove their loyalty. Placated, he gave them a key card so that they could gain access to the laboratory where the new weapon was being stored. Using the key card, they entered the laboratory and discovered a secret prison where their instructor was being held. Their instructor explained that they had discovered that the secret weapon was a poison gas generator, but when they had tried to destroy it, the poison gas had overwhelmed them, leading to their capture. Author's note: this is likely an early iteration on the retoxin gas that Glimmer was planning to use on Maple World in order to turn everyone into mindless puppets. At their instructor's behest, the Resistance member managed to destroy the weapon and used the return scroll in order to transport themselves and their instructor back to the secret plaza. Sometime later, their instructor told them that they had been impressed by their strength. Believing that they were strong enough to handle it, their instructor taught them the full extent of their combat knowledge. Demon. Mastema contacted the demon with a lead on the demons whom he had met in Orbis, explaining that Roly-Poly 10 had sighted the robed demons in Ludibrium. When the demon arrived, Roly-Poly 10 immediately began yelling at him and demanded to know what he had done to the King Block golems. The demon asked what Roly-Poly 10 meant, to which he explained that he had sighted the demon putting a strange device on the King Block golems. The demon assured him that he wasn't the one responsible for what had happened, and that he was actually trying to find the culprit. Roly-Poly 10 did not believe him, and told him to prove that he wasn't the one responsible by removing the MR receivers placed on the golems. After the demon collected the receivers, Roly-Poly 10 decided to trust him, and explained that he had asked the demon to bring the receivers so that he could figure out the assailant's location. After learning that they were in the toy factory, he asked the demon to stop them. The demon arrived at the factory and found two demons talking. The robed demon was wondering if it was wise to have carried out their plan in Ludibrium, as they had been ordered not to waste their time with toys. Author's note: unlike most of the other interactions with Damien's army in the storyline, this incident in Ludibrium doesn't seem to have any wider connections to other events in the game, such as how Eliza being corrupted in Orbis was tied with the events of the Stone Colossus. The unrobed demon told his comrade to think and asked if he wanted the new commander to worry about petty details, adding that they would be rewarded for their actions. Just then, the demon revealed himself and demanded to know if they served the Black Mage. The unrobed demon was shocked to see the demon and asked how he had found them, to which the robed demon snapped at his comrade about how they had already warned him once before about the dangers of leaving the demon alive. The unrobed demon told his comrade to shut up and added that their commander didn't need to know about it. Hearing about the new commander intrigued the demon, much to the unrobed demon's embarrassment, as he was supposed to keep it a secret. He decided to eliminate the demon right then and told his comrade to go on without him. Despite the commander's orders, he decided that he would put an end to the demon. However, the demon defeated the unrobed demon, forcing him to retreat. Author's note: I find it hilarious that the unrobed demon said that the commander didn't need to know about it, but his death dialogue says, "I'm going to tell the commander about this," as though he's a 5-year-old who got pushed at the playground. The demon wondered who the new commander was and resolved to stop them, as he didn't want anyone else to suffer as he had. He wondered if there was anyone he knew who had the qualifications to become a commander, but since he had been asleep for centuries, He realized that there was no one he knew who was alive, and so he decided to ask Mastema. Mastema was surprised that there was a new commander leading the demons, as she had thought that the demons had left Maple World after the Black Mage had been sealed away. With no other leads, the demon decided that he would have to investigate himself. Soon after, Mastema reached out to the demon and asked how his training was going, to which he replied that he had hit a wall and asked if they could repeat the sparring session he had with her clone. Author's note: the demon's fourth job advancement is unique because while every other quest needs you to accept it, you have to decline when Mastema asks you if your training is going well. This is the moment where I express my superiority over the spacebar holders. Mastema told Mastema told them that she doubted that sparring with him would help and instead suggested that he try sparring with himself. She explained that though the Temple of Time was normally the only place where one could tinker with time, she had heard news that something was wrong with time in Ludibrium and suggested that they go to the Path of Time at the clock tower bottom floor. There, Mastema stabilized a crack in time, as her cat form allowed her to move between dimensions, and she explained that he could use the crack in order to fight his past self. She also assured him that she had arranged it so that the actions in the past wouldn't affect the future. The demon then entered the crack in time and fought his past self in the Temple of Time. As their battle proceeded, his past self soon resorted to using his most powerful skills. Nevertheless, the demon was able to successfully defeat his past self and return to Mastema. He told her that fighting with his past self had allowed him to remember many of the skills that he had forgotten, and so the training had been a success. Author's note: for the Demon Avenger path, Mastema suggests that he fight his inner rage and use her powers to send him in. Oh, and used her powers to send him inside of himself, similar to meditation. However, she warns that the damage he sustains there will transfer to his real body. The demon is then transported to the memory of his ruined home, where he defeats his inner rage and successfully completes his fourth job advancement. Sometime later, the demon received a strange letter written in an archaic style. The author had written that they knew that the demon was looking for information about the Black Mage's newest commander, and told him that they would provide it if he came alone to the West Leafree Forest. The demon realized that it was an obvious trap, but since it was also an opportunity to gather information about his enemy, he decided to go anyway. He entered the forest, where he called for the author of the letter to show themselves. A demon officer then appeared and claimed that the demon was either brave or foolish for having come while knowing that this was a trap. The demon replied to him that it was his chance to uncover information. The officer told him that he knew that leaving the demon alone would become a problem for the commander, to which the demon asked who the commander was and why demons like the officer were serving him. Author's note: I'm guessing that when he says demons like him, it means half-blooded demons. The officer replied that there was no point in telling him, as he wouldn't live much longer. However, the demon managed to eliminate the officer after a quick duel. The demon then continued his training, and soon decided that, having grown much stronger, it was a good chance for him to confront Von Leon and get the answers that he wanted, as Elcaster had told him that only Von Leon knew the details of the final battle at the Temple of Time. He decided to use the secret passageway from his days as a commander, but after arriving at Lion King's castle, he noted that it was in terrible shape and wondered if Von Leon had blocked off the secret entrance. However, he was able to find the entrance and use it to enter the audience room. Von Leon recognized the demon and asked what he wanted, calling the demon the betrayer. The demon scoffed at his words, claiming that the Black Mage was the true betrayer for having killed his family. Von Leon told him that if that was true, then it was likely part of the Black Mage's grand plan, and that the demon was too blinded by anger to see. The demon replied that he was surprised that someone who had offered their soul to the Black Mage after losing their own family would say that, adding that the difference between them was that the Black Mage had already betrayed the demon, whereas the betrayal was yet to come for Von Leon. His words angered Von Leon, who loudly asked what there was left for him to lose, as he had lost everything that he had cared about. Seething with rage, he told the demon that he had nothing more to say to him, as he had no interest in the disloyal. The demon assured him that he would leave, but he first asked what had happened to the other commanders. Bon Leon merely told him to go to the Temple of Time in order to answer his own questions there. He then ordered the demon to leave, and warned that if they met again, he wouldn't hesitate to strike him down. After the demon left, Bon Leon blocked the secret passageway permanently.